We have a lot of enrollment at Michigan Tech, which has caused a little bit of a housing crisis. So we have housing stopping by at 9:15, IPS for 9:30, and then the graduate school is going to be 9:45. So it doesn't matter where I'm at in the presentation, we'll stop because those individuals are scheduled to come in, and so we'll let them answer some questions too, and that way we can get everybody on track here moving forward. Well, welcome all those who could attend. This is the Health Informatics Orientation for Fall 22. I'm Dr. Guy Hembroff, and Kay Oliver is the academic advisor for the graduate programs here in applied computing. Well, there's Kay, and she does a lot of work on the graduate programs in addition to all the things that she does with the undergraduate. So she is somebody definitely you will get to know very well. But really, we wanted to be able to go ahead and provide this orientation of useful information and try not to do information overload on things. So I will make these slides available. This is being recorded, so you can go back and be able to visit this as well. But as we go through this is kind of the agenda that we have set is basically to, again, make sure that you're aware of what's going to lead you to success in graduate school, because it's definitely different than undergraduate. And so for those who have done graduate school already, this might be a little bit redundant, but for those who haven't, it would be important to know. And so where you need to go for information is important. And also making sure that you understand, that becoming independent is really the whole part of graduate school. So this isn't as much as we stay here in the States, spoon feeding, where you get all of the information step by step. This is really for you to be creative and be able to go ahead and take information. And again, your academic success is our highest priority. So we work very hard on making sure that the curriculum and the environment is set in a fashion that allows you to succeed. And so we want to make sure that we help you with that process as well. So we're going to start with a poll for those who could attend. We'll go over key personnel, things that you can expect in graduate school, some of the degree requirements for the Masters of Science here at Michigan Tech. And then we'll also just reference the Graduate Student Handbook. I'll show you where that's located. And then some research focus and opportunities. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we're going to have representatives from housing, IPS, and the graduate school stopping by at these various times. And they're going to be able to talk a little bit, answer questions, and then we can follow up with them after as well. But this is why the poll is going to be important, because that's going to give different types of information that could be helpful in terms of doing that. When everything's finished, I will stay on the line and answer questions. So I will stay as long as it takes for those who have additional types of questions to go ahead and answer as well, okay? So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna go and kick off this poll. Let me see. So again, this is to just help us better understand. There's only 5 questions of where you're currently at. If some of these don't apply to you, you can just go ahead and select no. And if you're on right now and you don't have it muted, go ahead and just mute to make sure that people can hear and there's not background noise, please. So here's the poll, and I'll just give you a few minutes to go ahead and take that. Again, it's just 5 questions, pretty straightforward. But if you have any additional questions about the poll, make sure you go ahead and ask. And you can also use the chat as well. So housing seems to be the biggest issue that we have, just looking at the numbers for those who were able to answer. And I'm assuming, Dr. Bomas, that yours obviously is not an issue. So that might have been included in there. But just to kind of see where it looks like everyone else is doing really good with travel arrangements, visa, registering for classes. So that's excellent news. But we'll definitely talk with Matthew Weekly, who's coming in he's the first one at 9:15. And so we'll make sure that we translate these numbers. In fact, I don't know, Kay, if you can mark down those percentages. or just refer back to the poll when we bring Matthew in to go over that. That'd be great. Okay, so this is the group. So it's coming to a new destination, which many of you are. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. These individuals will be here to assist you. Myself and Kay would be your two first points of contact. And then these are different individuals that you might have for classes that you registered for already. Tom Cogswell does a lot with different types of student payroll. So if you have different types of positions within College of Computing, Applied Computing, and certainly within Health Informatics, he would be the one as well to be able to do that. And Dan Furman is the chair for Applied Computing. And so these are all the office numbers for everyone, all of the email addresses, their phone numbers. And so we really want you to feel comfortable to go up and ask us questions. And I think this is probably more of a conversation for undergraduates, encouraging them to ask questions and to be able to just go up to people, and especially with faculty and staff, and be able to do that. But nevertheless, it's still important for graduate school as well. And we are here to help you. We're also getting paid to help you. So don't forget about that part of it as well. And we really want you to succeed. And a lot of times that success comes from being able to get more information. And so we don't have the skill of reading your mind yet. That hasn't been developed. So we really need, like, if you have different types of questions or you have different types of issues, we really want you to feel comfortable with just coming up to us and being able to ask us. So we're very, I hope, informal in that sense, and that we really do take a lot of care in terms of what your success is. And obviously your time here at Michigan Tech, we want it to be special as well. So any different types of questions that you have, I think I've articulated that to most of the students that I've met with over Zoom. But nevertheless, if there's different types of questions that you have, make sure that you contact us and come stop by, our office or make an appointment, and we'd be more than happy to help you. But this kind of gives you an overarching list of the different individuals that are here to help you, okay? And so with that, this is the organizational chart. So Dr. Dennis Livesay is the dean of the College of Computing, which is a newly formed entity here on campus in the last 3 years. Computer science has their chair, and as I mentioned, with Dr. Dan Furman with Applied Computing, and then health informatics fits in Applied Computing, and there's also undergraduate programs in CNSA and EET, and then undergraduate and graduate programs in cybersecurity and mechatronics as well. In addition to the MS in Health Informatics. So just to kind of give you a lay of the land in terms of what Applied Computing and the College of Computing consists of, that's the organizational chart. And a majority of our activities within 2 buildings. I'm here and Kay's here in Recce Hall. When you come to campus, you'll be able to see that. And then also the Electrical Engineering Resource Center, the ERC building itself, is right across the lawn here, which is the other building associated with it. So what do you expect in graduate school? Typically, there's smaller class sizes. We have a big incoming class, so some of the earlier, more of the core courses are a little bit higher than they've been in the past, but typically there's smaller class sizes. Remember that, everyone's above average of your undergraduate days, right? So everyone had a criteria to be able to get into graduate school that was fairly rigorous, and so that's everyone's at a higher level in terms of being able to enter. And really, when you look at this, graduate school is really an active role in your education, right? And so we kind of say, like, ask questions during lectures, see your professors outside of the class. You really should be involved in terms of the educational portion. And so it's probably different than those who are coming right from undergraduate, from what you've seen before, in terms of the expectations that we had. And again, this is in bold because graduate school is definitely not a spectator sport. So we expect you to be able to dig into your classes and the different types of different types of work and topics that are covered in there. So there's a lot more open-ended problems, more projects, obviously, and these consist of larger scopes and deadlines. And so this is something with time management is very important. So if you've had a tendency before to do things right before they're due, it's very difficult to succeed in graduate school having that methodology. So I would really encourage to give yourself a fair evaluation of how you've been able to work in terms of academia before, and if you've had struggled with that, to really make it apparent to start with being able to from the get-go start putting more into getting these things done sooner rather than later, because it's just going to help you that much more. So again, there's a lot more concept-based approaches, abstract thinking, and there's reward for developing creative, innovative approaches. And this is, for example, like if you're in a machine learning class, like my artificial intelligence in healthcare, there's more than one way to be able to do a prediction for a certain type of model, like a convoluted neural network that you're going to be working on. And so this is where you really need to look at the creativity that you have in terms of what would be the best approach to this, what would be the most convenient type of coding aspect for this particular model that would give you the most accurate type of final approach in terms of what the model would have based on its testing. And so this is really what we want to encourage. A lot of the different things that we have in terms of our College of Computing cluster allows you 24-hour access to different types of operating systems and those kind of things. It's because we want to encourage that creative approach, right? And so also giving you access to things in terms of your time and whenever that is, but also to allow the creativity. So we want to make sure that this abstract thinking, these creative approaches are rewarded in terms of your courses, and that's really the way that we teach the courses as well. And communication, develop excellent speaking and writing skills is very important. And if you go into industry and you're going to be doing, let's say, cybersecurity, or if you're going to be doing different types of AI work and you're developing a budget for that, and your budget comes across that you're going to be needing Google Cloud space, and you're also going to be needing different types of modeling and other things, that's going to come to $1.2 million in terms of a budget. If you can't articulate the reasons why, it's going to be very hard to get those kind of budgets approved, or to be able to understand different types of things that you're going to be talking about to other individuals. So as much as the technical component and the clinical component is very important, it's also really critical that you develop these excellent speaking and writing skills. And so in your courses, you're going to be having different types of projects that are going to be, writing IEEE papers based on this particular research project, and also going ahead and developing a 20-minute presentation, for example. All of those are going to have a strict criteria in terms of, for example, even for your presentation, what is your cadence in terms of your speaking? How often are you looking down at your notes and not at the individuals that you're talking to? So these things are basically just practice, right? For you to, whether you're in industry now or you're going into industry once you graduate, these are all things that we want to work on for practice. And we don't expect anybody to come into the program with all of those skills. That's really why you're here, right? To develop them. And so we want to work hard in terms of making sure that the classes are organized in a fashion that allow you to excel in these areas that are not just technical, not just clinical, but also the soft skills like the communication in terms of written and verbal. Okay. And the research components, I'll talk about research in a bit, but scientific methods make advancement on existing state-of-the-art types of activities. So if you're doing something with different types of modeling, or if you're doing something with mixed or virtual reality, we want you to push the envelope in terms of what you're doing for research as well, right? Because that's going to make you learn at a faster pace, but it's also going to kind of highlight you and your expertise to different types of future employers as well. So again, we will create the environment, whether if it's lecture, lab, or research, but you need to do the rest. And I think that's the main message that we want here. It's really what you put into it is what you get out of it. And our responsibility is to make sure that that environment, the education, the curriculum, all that stuff, including the opportunities, are here for you. And we've worked hard on in terms of doing that. And then we just ask that you put in the work for it. And if you have questions, or if you have different types of problems, that's when we want to make sure that we have different types of resources for you as well, okay? So here's the different types of requirements for the health informatics program. So you can go to, go to the graduate school, click on this link, and this will bring you into the degree requirements, and you can go through and see, Masters of Science and go through it. And again, I will share these out with Kay, and she can share them out to the group for these slides. And then you can also have different types of forms as well. So again, university policies have a certain type of expectations, but the individual programs also have different types of requirements. So when in doubt, you can generally assume that the department program policies will apply. And you can also ask Kay or myself if there's any different types of issues that you have, if you're wondering about what kind of policies are. Because basically there's different types of changes that can occur. And so we want to make sure that, we're straightforward with you, but really it comes down to most often the department and of course the health informatics program that you want to look at. And so it's our job to make sure that we're complying with what the graduate school has. And so we'll make that apparent to you. And there's different types of forms that are going to have to be completed as you go through the curriculum. And so if you click on this, you'll see the M forms and the D forms, and all of these, they have all of the deadlines here. So prospective students, current students, you click on this, and it has all the different types of forms as you go through it, right? And so we'll go through those as I meet with students, or you meet with Kay, in terms of the individual development plan and making sure that you have the forms currently completed. When you log into My Michigan Tech, you'll be able to see what forms you have completed and what forms you don't. Right, so it will help you keep track of that as well. And so this is a question that students sometimes have, is what happens when the rules change? Well, again, as we have a graduate program, different types of rules will change over time. So again, you're subject to the rules as they exist today. But for example, if a class was altered where we've changed that particular type of course, we will make those particular types of provisions with you in terms of making sure that there's substitutions that are adequate for you as you go through. So again, we'll be scheduling out your courses in the individual development plan. And then as different types of changes may occur within, for example, the 2 years or 3 years that you're in the program, you can go ahead and we'll work on different types of things for substitutions, or making sure that you have everything in line if there are any changes. Okay, so just make sure that you again keep track of where you're at, and we will do that as we meet with you and go through things. So we have certificates. So there's 2 different certificates that are currently with 9 credit. We have the Foundations of Health Informatics, which is going through its final approval, which is what you are all starting with now as an incoming student coming in. And so these are the courses that are assigned with each of them. And so as you go through this and you take the core courses, you'll receive a certificate with the Foundations of Health Informatics. And then you will have different types of options to be able to choose whether if it's Security and Privacy in Healthcare, Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare certificate, or the soon to be coming Population Health Management Monitoring certificate. And so these are the courses that are assigned with them. Remember, the certificates themselves will be actually placed on your transcripts, but also on your degree. So as you complete a certificate, that certificate will be put on your degree when you go ahead and graduate. So you'll have a Master's of Science in Health Informatics, and then it will list out the certificates that you have. There is no requirement other than the Foundations of Health Informatics, because it's core courses, to actually complete a certain certificate. So you could take classes from this certificate, this one, and this one. And if you are interested in those classes and not complete any other ones, the advantage of completing the certificates is, number one, that it tells the employer of what source of expertise that you have in specialized areas. And it also allows you to sit for different types of exams on the 7-point system for certain ones like Security and Privacy and Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare. So there's different advantages with doing that with these certificates. But again, when you meet for your individual development plan, you can kind of look at what certificates would maybe be more applicable to you. And so typically you would graduate the foundations of health informatics and then 2 9-credit certificates, which would equal the 30 credits, which is the minimum required for the degree with Masters of Science in Health Informatics, okay? And so this picture is quite blurry, so I apologize for that. I thought it would come out better in the resolution, but this just shows you if someone's interested more from the clinical side, maybe versus something like the information technology, just to kind of show how this would look in terms of the completion of a student path. So both students would take the core courses, which is the foundations of health informatics. And for example, these 2 students also take artificial intelligence in healthcare. One would take the population health management and monitoring, and the other one would take security and privacy. So both students would graduate with 30 credits, 10 courses, and they would both have a Master's of Science in Health Informatics. One would have population health management and monitoring, in addition to the artificial intelligence in healthcare and foundations of health informatics, where the other one would have the foundations, the artificial intelligence in healthcare, but they would have the security and privacy, right? So you have some options in terms of flexibility, in terms of what you want to be able to choose for the curriculum that you're in. It's not really a concern for most of you right now because you're all in core courses. So you don't have to make any decisions at this point. But as you start scheduling for even spring semester, it would be good to really start putting some thought into if you're looking at what kind of certificates would be more applicable to your career aspirations, and then we can schedule accordingly. Okay. So you have some options is basically the end result. And so typically students will take 9 credits as a full-time status. Students who are working in industry typically don't take 3 courses or 9 credits. Usually they'll take 1 or 2 courses as they go through. But if you are taking the 3 courses for this fall, chances are you're basically registered for these 3 courses. And some students who came in with a different set of skill set have chosen, some courses that are outside of health informatics, that they're looking for a certain type of certificate as well. And that's great. We encourage that. But for most of the students, you'll have applied computing and Python programming, introduction to health informatics, and then the security and privacy. Again, this gives you the 9 credits, which is mandatory for international students to make sure that they carry full-time status, which in graduate school is 9 credits. Okay, so having 3 courses at 3 credits, which almost all of our courses are, besides the variability with research credits, give you the 9 credits. And so typically our students take 9 credits per semester. And again, you have the option to take a course in the summer and then be able to finish that following fall if you want to go ahead and do that route, or you can go fall, spring of 22-23 and fall, spring of 23-24. So again, flexibility in terms of for graduation dates and flexibility in terms of courses that you can take. And again, that's why your individual development plan is shared with you on Google, to make sure that you have a kind of running spreadsheet of being able to see what courses you have and really for planning for the next few semesters, okay? So consult with the registrar's office, and when you log on to BandWeb, which most of you have already, in terms of when courses are offered, what semester, the course prerequisites, all of those things. If you have questions, you can definitely ask us, and we can give you an answer on that as well. And again, if a section is full, only the instructor can allow more students. So a lot of times if you ask Kay, Kay will go to the instructor and ask them if they can do that. But Kay, a lot of times we'll have to get the instructor to give them feedback. So be patient with her, because sometimes faculty don't move as quickly on emails as we should. So Kate always is really good about getting those emails out quickly. And so she'll keep hassling a faculty if needed, just to make sure that they give her an answer. So we do try to always accommodate for students if the class is, needing another seat or two. but really try to schedule on time to make sure that you're ensured a seat for the courses, okay? And again, it gets into the responsibility of the student for graduate school to make sure that they can go ahead and administer their own scheduling. So you have different types of degree options. You have the thesis option, which is Plan A. That would be anywhere between up to 10 credits of research. So that would be 20 credits of essentially coursework. And it's variable. You can do anywhere between 20 and 24. Report option is usually up to 6 credits. And again, this has typically been reserved for students who are in industry, who are doing different health informatics related type of work on a project. And then we can go ahead and coincide that into, developing a kind of plan of study in terms of expectations for that project. And the student can go ahead and get 6 credits, for example, doing the report option. But we have had students who have been on campus as well, who do that, who don't want to do a full thesis. So it's also available for on-campus students, but typically, to be honest, we've done it usually for students who have been in industry and online students. And then, of course, the coursework option, which is 30 credits of coursework, 10 courses to get through the program. And again, in terms of making sure that you do that with what certificates would be the most applicable to your career aspirations. So those are the options for it. When you come into the program, you'll have these things where you fill out this patent research and proprietary rights form. You would choose an advisor if you have plan A or B. And again, the reason why we say a good mutual match is that if it's interest in doing medical imaging, or if you have interest in doing different types of predictions for medical devices that different patients have, or if you have a different thing in terms of maybe doing predictions for disease outbreak, make sure you choose the advisor that has experience in those particular areas that you have a high interest in. And I would really encourage you to make sure that you look at what kind of passion that you have in a certain area. Don't just choose an area because you think that a faculty is interested already in it and it would be an easy one to go into. If that's an area that you're sincerely interested in it, then that's fantastic. But really make sure it's something that you have an interest in. And so I would really, encourage you to go a semester at least before you start thinking about what your topic would be, because you're going to be introduced to a lot of different types of topics in the health informatics realm within your first semester. And obviously you'll become more comfortable with what the faculty have for different types of research as you have them in courses as well. I'm sure they'll be introducing that, their research into the courses. And so you'll be able to get a better understanding as well. So make sure you give it some time. You have at least a semester, maybe 2, to go ahead and get started before you start doing research. So just keep that in mind. So complete 30 total approved credits, whether you're doing, plan A, plan B, or plan C. And grades of B are better in health informatics is the expectations for health informatics courses and for non-major courses. So you do have some options of a couple of BCs that can be looked at or approved, but the expectation for graduates is to maintain a 3.0 GPA for each semester and the minimum to graduate. So you want to keep that in mind as well. And then there will be some 4,000 level courses, as you saw with many of you are in SAT 4650, because that's a course that you haven't had a lot of programming experience before. So again, we want to make sure that while you can take the 4,000 level courses in certain types of curriculums that we have in health informatics, make sure that the courses are going to broaden your educational experience and not just going to be repeat subjects of something that you had in undergrad, right? And so myself and Kay can help you interpret, the details of that. This should be policy. I'll switch that. But just make sure that the courses, again, you're making an investment in these courses. So we want the courses to be challenging for you and obviously very useful for you expanding your career. And so taking something that you've already had is not going to be able to do that. Okay. So again, you have the options to choose these particular types of plan A, B, or C, thesis, report, coursework. And if you choose A or B, you're going to present a research project proposal, right? And so that's really the intention of having that. You'll complete the thesis or project for A or B, and then you'll file for the MS degree schedule, which is your M4. I know a lot of these are just going to be terminology for now, but you can always refer back to this and go back to those links that I showed you in the beginning with the graduate school with form deadlines, and you'll see all of these things. So when you complete your MS degree schedule, you'll have all of the courses that you have listed, which would include research courses if that's included with what you've done, to equal the 30 credits. And then that has to get signed off by myself as the graduate director, and then the graduate school. And then if you're choosing A or B, you'll also complete an oral thesis or project defense. And so this would be a report for B, which is the reporting option. But again, you would do both the oral and the project defense for both of these, okay? Just know that the option B with the report is, the criteria is not as high in terms of what you have for the oral thesis or the project defense. So you'll file for oral examination with A or B, and then you'll complete the form M6 for Plan C. Okay, so these again are all on that link that I showed you with forms and deadlines of the graduate school. And so this is the graduate school handbook. And if you click on this link, and you go ahead and click, you'll see the link for the handbook here. And so when you bring this up, it's going to download, and it's basically going to go over all the different aspects, a lot of what I've already highlighted. But it has all of the different types of links in there. So key personnel, all the different types of policy information, even where to go when you have, like in the recce, where you can go for a wireless lounge, for computing resources, where you can go for printing, where you can go to be able to go to a graduate study area. All of these things are going to be available in this graduate student handbook. And this is something that we want to make sure this is updated. So this is the fall 2022 that is for this coming semester, and you can go ahead and click on this link, download this, and go over it. And then if you have any questions, but essentially this is for you to make sure that you read through. And again, a lot of it is what I've already touched on already, except it gives a lot more verbosity in terms of what kind of information is going to be there. And like I said, a lot more links in terms of where you're going to be going. So it is quite verbose in terms of detail, but hopefully that will serve as a good reference for you in terms of being able to locate different things and answer different types of questions that you have. If you read through it and you notice that something is definitely not in there that we should include, go ahead and let me know, and I'd be happy to go ahead and look to see if it should be included there. But a lot of safety information, again, is in there as well. And this kind of just goes through some of the different types of things that are in there, including the GTA guidelines for the GTAs that we have within the program. Okay. So some of the research focus that we have, there's a lot of students that I've talked to that are incoming students that want to be able to get involved with research. And I told, I believe, every student that the best way to get started in research is to volunteer, right? And so if you don't have the technical expertise or you don't have the clinical knowledge yet, to volunteer in the labs with the different types of faculty research, and then you'll hopefully be able to get picked up on a project as funding becomes available. And so the different types of options are there. I just want to make sure is that these are just some of the different types of options that we have. So medical data and device security, AI prediction modeling, wearable sensors, medical virtual mixed reality, a lot of medical image analysis, visualization and GIS, biomedical natural language processing, disease surveillance. Again, this is I guess a portion of the different types of research that we're involved with. And so I want to make sure that all incoming students understand that research is going to take time. The best thing that you can do is be exposed to different types of research. And so again, as I mentioned before, with the work that I'm doing, If students want to be able to volunteer, even with the lab that we have on the third floor that's getting going as we've transferred from the IRC to the Recce building. If students want to make sure that they can come in and get research exposure to things like being able to do different types of modeling or with wearable devices or even with disease outbreak and heat mapping, I want to make sure that you have that option. And Dr. Zhao, who does a lot of research with cardiac resynchronization therapy and those kind of things, he also would be a good one to talk to as well. But I am more than comfortable with scheduling students in the lab on certain times, days, and dedicated times that they can go in, have card swipe access, and be able to work on an existing project to get some experience. And that would include some of the different types of dialogue that we have with other universities or different types of healthcare organizations that I'm working with, like Henry Ford or different ones that we've been associated with. But just remember to start slow, right? So as much as we want to give you exposure to this, we really want to make sure that you hit the ground running in your courses. So please start with, making sure that you have everything ready for the courses, that again, you're doing your work on time. As we mentioned before, the timelines are usually a little bit longer. So you need to make sure that you stay consistent with, staying up on the different types of courses as you get a lot of knowledge that you haven't had in areas like Python programming or doing things like security and privacy, or just the whole introduction to health informatics that you haven't been exposed to. And so we will get you into the labs and get you scheduled for those dedicated times and get you on certain types of areas that you have a high interest in. But we just want to make sure that we're realistic with the time settings as well, right? So, make sure that when you come here that you contact me or you contact Dr. Zhao, for example, and start getting associated with what kind of work that we're doing and when we can get you time in the labs. But again, moving forward, just understand that this is a process, and we have a lot of students coming in. We want to make sure that we make time for everybody who wants to be able to pursue this. And students who want to be able to do just the coursework, that's fine. If you don't want to do a research aspect that's with it. Again, I just want to stress that students doing just coursework can do research with us in the labs as well. So you don't need to be doing a thesis or a reporting project to be able to do research. We have a long track record of students who do coursework, but they also do different types of research on project with us as well. Okay. So there's a lot of different things that you can do for research. Again, just make sure that when you get here, you contact us. I'll probably send something out for the lab that I'll be in, just to give people an option to do different types of tours and to see what kind of things that you're interested in, that you can just stop by the lab and we can have a chat that way as well. So I'll do that as you guys get to campus and move forward that way. Okay. Do we have Matthew on? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So 12 of our 17 participants have secured housing. That leaves 5 without housing.
Okay.
So we did just to check on the poll with visas. Do they have, tickets for travel? Have they established housing? Have they scheduled courses? And so we thought we would just kind of share that, and you can maybe just give an outlook on if there's other places students can look. I could give you options to share your screen if you want, Matthew, or you could just talk about it. That'd be fine.
Sure. So, no, right now, what our office is doing, we're if you're in a situation, first off, we're encouraging students to communicate with us if they are still needing some additional assistance or resources to look for housing. What my office is doing is we've been sending out a lot of different links with students, so that way they can go out and explore within the Houghton Hancock community to see if they can find some housing within the immediate area. I know it can it can be a little bit stressful at times, but one of the big things that I've been stressing with students, especially this time of year, is to revisit some of those same places, because what was or wasn't available maybe yesterday can come available today. Right now we are seeing that, this is a time of year where we see a lot of fluidity, and students just have a change of heart. They decide they're not going to come, and that's when spaces come available. And so I encourage students to continue to visit those sites that we can send, and you can email housing@mtu.edu and ask for a list of resources, and then they can send it to you. And then of course I will always tell people to put themselves on our wait lists as well, because I know that we had like a couple of cancellations in the last 24 hours. And of course we're going right to the wait list and offering the next available individual those spaces.
So does any incoming students have any questions about places that they've tried and weren't able to get housing, or any questions for Matthew that you want to follow up on, since he's taken the time to join us today? Yeah, and I know that there's some students that weren't able to make it, and I'm not sure, Matthew, if they have housing or not. But I guess we can just follow up with them later as well. Is there, Kay, I know that you've sent out on the Discord and with emails what Matthew sent to us prior regarding the different types of options and links that students can go to. Matthew, is that link on your page, your web page, the Residence Education and Housing Services page?
So our staff have no, actually,
Okay.
well, kind of, sort of. So our staff this summer, given the housing demand, we went through an exhaustive research in the area to see if there were some creative new links that we could send to students. And so anytime a student has sent something to us asking for assistance, we've sent that list, and it's got like, I want to say it's like 12 or 15 different links that they can try. And I'm happy to send that to you as well, if that's something that you would like to share with the students, if you get any more requests.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And then we can just send that out to them just in case there's some students that still are struggling with that.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, this is a crisis that I don't think Michigan Tech has had with the increase of enrollment being so high this year. So it's been challenging to say the least.
Sure. So actually I think the reality is that there's a couple different factors that are all happening at the same time, which is creating it. Certainly enrollment does play a role. I think one of the new unique challenges we're facing is with the current housing, like in our country right now, housing has been just booming and at a premium, and that has definitely impacted the Houghton Hancock community, as houses have gotten swooped up a lot faster, and it's really squeezed the market overall. And so we've had a lot of local regional interests. Like I have a lot of staff members that are really finding challenges in terms of securing, like even getting a house or a rental, because the market in general for housing in the entire United States is and it is really challenging. And I know that mainly is in purchases, but it affects rentals, because there are those that sell as rentals, or they decide that they're going to convert them over to standard houses because they're trying to secure them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And it's really hard for, I think, international students without having that connectivity, like not having a lot of the local rental places don't have WhatsApp, for example, that they can just call them and be able to talk to them over the phone and those kind of things. So there's some additional challenges for international students, and not knowing, not really coming to the community beforehand puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage as well, in terms of being able to understand the nuances of where people are, where are the houses, and what's a good location versus not a great location, especially if you don't have transportation, right? That's another factor. So yeah, so it's been challenging for sure.
Absolutely. No, I know, and we're doing, here in housing, we're doing everything that we can to try to maximize it. And we are working on a longer term solution, and that has made progress, but that's not going to have an immediate impact in the next year to 2 years. So, but hopefully, like the one piece of good news is I do think that there are some private developers outside of our area that are also expanding, are looking at creating new solutions. And the reality is when those solutions get made, it creates a trickle down effect, which then will reduce the demand for our on-campus apartment housing, because some of those individuals are now exploring what's available within the community. So
Yeah. No, you guys have done a lot in terms of, and all of those links have been great for the students to be able to look at. And some of them I know have gotten places because of those. So it's really good. Yeah, it's a challenge all around. So we appreciate all the effort that you have, and especially stopping by and taking your time. Yeah, we appreciate it. So
I'm happy to do so. Again, if there's anyone in this chat that is still struggling, persistent, again, right around this time, we're going to have some people that have change of heart. And if you're in the right place at the right time, you just don't know. And so if you're looking for the best case strategy to use, that is the one that I would recommend. But in the meantime, if you need, like, if you have any questions or support or assistance that you're seeking with regard to housing, we're happy to help to the best of our ability. You're more than welcome to contact us at housing@mtu.edu. And we'll see if there's anything that we can reasonably point you in the right direction or provide any sort of assistance or guidance.
okay, so just to make sure that I'm clear, the best things that if a student doesn't have housing right now is, number one, make sure that they're on the waiting list.
Yes.
Right. And the second thing is to look at those links that you've been able to develop, and we'll make sure that we go ahead and get those sent out to them for both of those.
Absolutely.
Is the waiting list on the housing page? Do you get?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that MTU/housing, mtu.edu/housing, they can get to it from there?
Yeah, so we have a tab that it's like forms and applications, and you go in there and it's a whole bunch of different links to like look at the housing contracts that we have. And then there's a lot of different waiting lists. We offer both the Daniel Heights apartment waiting list and then the residence hall waiting list. The one caveat I would say is the residence hall waiting list mainly like accommodates our undergraduate population. We have found that our graduate students don't typically, it does not provide them the necessary housing that they're looking for, because it's usually shorter term housing than what the apartments offer. And so I would recommend that, like, of course, grad students are welcome to apply for the residence halls, but there's a different financial structure, and there's interruptions in terms of service. Like students have to go home during, between breaks, and if they get approved, then they have to pay extra beyond that. And so that's why I'm saying that yes, undergraduate housing is something that can be considered, but it may not be an ideal solution for the graduate population.
Okay. So is this the right location, forms and requests that they would go to get on that waiting list?
Yep, go ahead. Yeah, if you click on that, you'll see there's this huge list right there. And if you scroll down, you should see Daniel Heights is down there. Daniel Heights forms.
Okay, here.
I'm looking for where's oh, that's contract release. Yep, it'll be in there.
Okay.
And so students are able to apply. Yours is looking a little different than mine, and I don't know why that is, but
okay.
Yeah, students can go online and they can fill out a Daniel Heights, apply to be on the Daniel Heights waiting list.
Okay.
I'm checking my page right now to see if there's a slight variation.
Yeah, we have 4 minutes until IPS gets started, so maybe we'll just make sure we find this link, and that way the students who don't have secured housing can look at that. Okay. So applications and contracts.
Yep.
And then Daniel Heights application students.
Yep.
Okay. So if anybody wants to take a screenshot of that, again, you can apply. Make sure you get on the waiting list if you are not on this. As Matthew said, there's always some cancellations. So it's always a good idea to make sure that you're on the waiting list just in case. And then we'll have, if you could just send those links, and then we'll make sure that we get those out to the students, And if other students need to look at those links with other options in the community, we can get those out.
Are there any other questions or anything else?
Does anyone
want me
else
to
have
talk
any other questions for Matthew with housing? Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any other questions, Matthew.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Really,
thank you so much. Like, I will send you the copy of those links just so you have it in case you get any additional questions. But if you do have anything and you think of it after the fact, please feel free to email us at housing@mt.edu and we'll assist any way we can.
okay. All right. Much appreciated.
All right. Thank you. Have a good orientation. Welcome to Michigan Tech.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
There's also a question in chat. And it's related to what should you be aware of when making a contract for off-campus housing?
I think probably the most important thing is that if you plan to be there during the summer or not. So to make it like, for example, 9 months versus 12 months, sometimes different types of housing units will allow you to do the 9-month, and some of them will not. They'll ask that you do a whole year. So if you plan on being here in the summer, or if you plan on being somewhere else, but you want to make sure that you keep that that apartment, for example, then you'd want to make sure that you do it for the 12. But again, that's up to you. Okay, so Kelly, thank you so much for stopping by.
Good morning.
So we took a poll of the students that were able to go ahead and attend today. And so we asked them several things about, do they have their visas? Had they secured different types of arrangements for travel? Had they registered for classes? Do they have secured housing? And we just talked with Matthew from housing about the students, and actually most of the students that were on had housing. There's still 5 that didn't. In terms of the visa, so 17 out of 18 said that they had their visa. And one of them said that they don't have a visa, but they have the interview scheduled for it. 17 out of 18 said that they have travel arrangements that's been finalized to Houghton. And and then 12 out of 18 said that they actually plan to arrive in Houghton prior to August 24th.
Okay.
And I have received like, I think 3 or 4 different types of emails from the graduate school allowing the students to come in later than that date to get started. So I don't think there should be any issues there.
No.
And so the other one was just basically housing, as I mentioned before. And then the last question was, have you registered for the 9 credits of courses? And 17 out of the 18 said that they had.
Sure.
So I think from an IPS perspective and visa, which was the main concerns that we had, I think we're looking pretty good. Is there any other types of things that you want to just make sure that you cover with the students that we have on?
Sure. So welcome, everyone. We look forward to meeting you in person when you get here. So an important thing to remember when you travel is keep all your documents in one place. Don't put them in your suitcase. Make sure you carry them with you. You will be asked to show them a couple of times. Those documents, of course, are your I-20 or your DS 2019, but probably most of you have an I-20, and then your visa and your passport. Once you arrive to Houghton, you need to come and check in at the IPS office. You also can check in online. So we have a link on our website where you can check in electronically, but you're more than welcome to come to the office. We also have several events going on, like resource tours and lots of different events going on. So you can find all of that information on our website, mtu.edu/international. And then you'll see on our page, there's a tab for new arriving international students. And then that gives you a ton of information about what to expect when you get here. But the most important thing is we need you to check in with our office, because what that does is we then register you with the government, and that moves your I-20 from initial status to active status. And so it's really important that you check in with us because we'll need to do that process. Another important thing that makes people nervous is if you are a supported student, the grad school has already told us that. And when you come and check in, we're going to give you a letter, and you need this letter for the Social Security office. And you'll need to make an appointment right away. All the directions are on our website. And when you come and check in, we will help you as well. But you're going to make a letter, you're going to make an appointment with the Social Security office so that you can get a Social Security number as soon as possible. And you need a support letter from International Programs and Services for that. So we will give you what you need when you check in. If you are not a supported student and you're a self-funded student, which maybe probably most of you are because you're master's students, if you get an on-campus job, which I'm sure most of you are looking for, so there's going to be an on-campus job fair the first week of classes. Once you are offered a job and accept the job, your employer will give you some paperwork. In addition to that, you will need to request a letter from our office for your Social Security number. But all students except for supported students, so probably you, need to wait a couple of weeks for you to get your appointment, because what happens is it takes time for the international system to talk to the Social Security system. So let's say you come to campus and you get a job the first week of classes, and you go and you set up an appointment for the Social Security office the first week of classes. Well, you're going to go there and they're going to say, we don't see you in the system, you don't exist. And so we'll tell you all of this when you come in person, but we want you to wait a couple of weeks before you get the Social Security appointment, so that way it's processed correctly. Now, but that doesn't mean that you won't get your money. You will get your money. Our Human Resources Department knows that this is the system, and you will get your checks. But it is vital that you get your Social Security number, because you will have to pay taxes, and at tax time, we'll need all of this information, which is another thing that IPS will help with. We help international students with their taxes. And so that will happen in March. So there's no need to worry about that now. Other important things you need to do is pay your bill. You need to get health insurance, and you need to confirm your enrollment. I regularly communicate with international students via the IPS email. So it's really important that you read those emails. You will get them for sure, and they will have important steps that you need to take, or important reminders, or immigration rules. It's really important that you read through the entire email. We have a lot of students who don't read the email and then email us asking questions that are already in the email. So you need to make sure to read through the whole thing. I'm trying really hard to only provide information that is that's necessary, right? That you need to maintain your immigration. And then finally, another important thing is that you need to sign up for the Life at Michigan Tech seminar. This meets on Wednesdays from 4 to 5:30 in the M&M U115 classroom. This seminar goes all throughout September and October. This is a requirement for all international graduate students. So if you're an international graduate student, you are required to take this seminar. In this seminar, we are going to cover how to maintain your immigration status. If you earned a bachelor's degree or another master's degree from some other university in the United States, it doesn't matter. You still need to take this class. It's about Michigan Tech. So students who have earned a degree at Michigan Tech already don't need to take it. Other than that, it is required by the Board of Trustees policy that you have to take it. I sent an email to all incoming new international students with a link to sign up. If you haven't gotten that, just send an email to ips@mtu.edu, and we'll get you signed up. And so I am the instructor for that class, so I'll get to know you well. I think those are things. We also have an orientation on the 24th between 10 and noon on campus in the MUB. If you are not going to be here, that's okay. I'm going to record it and then I'll send it out to everyone who was unable to make it. So don't worry if your travel plans are after that or you won't be here in person, it will be fine. I'll share out the information after the fact. Questions?
That's great information. Any questions? Is there any confusion with what Kelly went over, the different types of information of where to go? I think that the main thing is, again, making sure that you read those emails because those are critical.
Yeah.
And to make sure that you act on those. And Kelly just sent a link in there, so that will help you for incoming students.
Yeah.
It's
And
a lot of information, right?
It
I
is.
mean, just even the information that I'm going over. So we understand that this is a lot of information for you. So again, don't be afraid to ask questions and contact us to be able to get some more direction if you need it.
And if you are here this week on the 19th, we will have a meet and greet and community expo, and we'll have banks and cell phone companies in the MUB, in the Memorial Union Building on the ground floor, ready and available. But if you are not in town for that, that's okay. And just, stop in to the office and we can help you. There's a bank right across the street from campus. That's the most ideal bank. It's called Flagstar. It's really great for international students. They are very warm and welcoming folks. And then a fun thing on August 25th, at night, 8 o'clock at night in the MUB ballroom, Memorial Union Building ballroom, we're having a global social. It's basically an international dance party. And so just a fun event for international students. Our returning students love this event. And so you'll get to meet lots of students if you come and to dance and enjoy community. Yeah,
that'd be a great icebreaker for meeting a bunch of people. Yeah, so if you can attend that, if you're here, that would be great if you could attend. So
yeah. Yes.
Is that in any emails that go out to them that?
We'll send all of that, and that information's on our website too. Yeah.
Perfect.
And join our Facebook. IPS has a Facebook page. And then another fun thing we do on September 17th is the Parade of Nations. This is going to be the 33rd year Michigan Tech has had the Parade of Nations. It's a big, huge parade celebrating countries from all over the world. And then we have a multicultural food fest right at the end of the parade. And so your fellow international students their groups sign up, like Indian Student Association, Nepalese Association, African Student Organization. They all sign up and serve food from their home country. And it's really a great day. So that's another fun thing to look forward to.
Yeah, that's always a fun event.
Yeah.
Especially trying all the different foods.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for all that information. So
You're
remember,
welcome.
group, we understand that there's a lot of different types of things that need to be followed, especially for international students. So Kelly's going over all that information just to make sure that everyone stays on task and that all that information can get done, get put in the system, and you can concentrate just on your education. So it's different things to think about, but again, it's just things that need to be done and get you settled in. And then from there, you can make sure that your priority is with the education. So thank you so much, Kelly.
Yeah,
That's
no
great.
problem. Safe travels, everyone.
So let me see if Ashley is on.
I am here. Yep.
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
Good.
So we wanted to just, if you had any updates from the graduate school or any type of maybe common pitfalls that students have, if there's any types of advice, and then maybe the students could ask questions if they have any. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Ashley Wells. I'm formerly the Assistant Director of Graduate Enrollment Services. I oversee the application process through students' arrival to campus is kind of my area of expertise. So once students are, as we call them, current students, so they're here, they are taking classes, trying to finalize their degree, they will actually convert over to my colleagues, Dr. Charlesworth and Nancy Byers-Sprague, for degree completion. And if you're doing a thesis or thesis dissertation type scenario for your master's, or for those doing PhDs, they would work with Dr. Charlesworth and Nancy in the graduate school to finalize their degree now that they're here. For all of our incoming students, though, for me, I do need to receive your official transcript and proof of degree. So for any students who are online, that can be emailed to us directly from your previous institution. For any of our students on campus, mainly our international students, we do ask that you bring in a sealed envelope with your transcript and your original proof of degree. We did send an email out to all incoming students last week of the dates and times that we will be accepting those. So we do ask that you follow those guidelines. We are very busy over here right now, as I've known for the last hour. So do try and follow those guidelines. We do not have a receptionist until 10 a.m. And so being able to follow when we would like you to come in is definitely most important right now. Aside from that, if you had to provide official test scores, we will ask for those to be sent to us directly. IELTS scores have already been processed officially, so you don't have to worry about those, but TOEFL or PTE will need to be sent to us officially for those that had to provide English proficiency scores. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what else I need for finalizing admission. For all of our students coming in, one of the big stopping points right now is the health insurance. So do try and make sure that you either waive that requirement or you request the Michigan Tech health insurance as soon as possible. And then most of all, bills are due August 24th at 5 p.m. So anytime after that, we'll start a late fee. So just keep that in mind as you are either coming to campus or getting ready for your online classes, kind of a few of those deadlines, not necessarily the graduate schools, but ones we always are, in explaining to students as well.
Okay. So, and all those timelines have been sent via email to the students. They know. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if you have any questions, check your email.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, so we did a poll at the beginning about do you have visa status,
Yep.
travel arrangements? Yeah. And so 17 of 18 that took the poll said that they've registered for fall courses.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I think we should be in good shape from those who attended. But there's some who could not attend. So we'll try to get them to fill out the poll as well.
And for any of the students at this point that have not registered, they will have to take care of the health insurance hold first.
Okay.
There is a hold on all graduate student accounts until they take care of the health insurance starting in July.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are trying to register and you cannot, that's probably the reason why.
Yes.
So it's a lot of logistics
Mm-hmm.
for especially international students coming in. So hopefully you can always ask questions, as we've tried to reiterate throughout this orientation, as you have different types of challenges that you run into. So Ashley and Kelly and Matthew are all great in terms of doing that. But just for us too, if we can help, take the forefront of any of the questions, we can at least steer you in the right direction, even if we don't know the exact answer to the question. So this is Ashley was referring to Nancy and Deb, who you'll have a lot of contact with, especially Nancy, with all of the forms that I mentioned in the beginning, depending on whether you're doing, A, B, or C in terms of the options for thesis, report, or coursework. So all these forms, Nancy is the one who is so good about getting back with all of those things. So she's really a great individual to work with, and you'll get to know her very well. So.
And she likes sailing. We always have to include her sailing on Wednesdays.
Oh yeah, and she does the swimming. I think she goes swimming every day. When I was training for a triathlon, she was every time. I swear she was there when I was there.
And then her and her partner take grad students out on their sailboat. So if you ever want to learn sailing, Nancy is the person to be in contact with.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know she did that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Does anyone have any other questions for Ashley? Now is the time to ask if you have some. If you have some that come up later, again, you can direct them to the graduate school. If we can help, Kay and I will be able to help with that as well. But any questions now, you can write them in the chat or you can just unmute. If you have any questions, don't be shy. So maybe no questions. Like we said, we have a majority of the people who are here have already registered. But just make sure, again, as Ashley articulated, just those timelines are really important for health insurance and the other things that she covered. And if you have questions, make sure you ask. So thank you so much, Ashley, for taking the time out of your day to do this. And yeah, we'll just continue with the presentation, but thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. So let me just get back to the slides. So that's really the majority of information that we wanted to cover on this. We know it's already a lot of information in one time. And so besides questions that you have, are there any things you have concerns about, or any type of questions, or, just even about the local area? I mean, these are the times that we're kind of here. So that's pretty much the presentation. Again, as I mentioned before, I would stick around to answer any questions that students might have. If there's any way that I can help get something figured out for you, be more than happy to do that. We're super excited for all of you to come and to be on campus for those who are coming on campus. So really encourage that if you can want to stop by the office when you come in too, to go ahead and do that, as mentioned before, on the slides, which will be sent out, and also on the graduate student handbook. All of our offices and phone numbers are there as well. But we just want to be able to meet you and make sure that you feel comfortable here, and that you're ready to get started, because we're like I said, we're really excited that you're here and that you've chosen Michigan Tech, the Health Informatics program. And yeah, we just want to make sure that everything gets started on the right foot for you. So any questions? I don't want to keep people longer than they need to be. So if people don't have questions and want to drop off, that's fine. But it was great being able to see the names come through, and it'll be even more exciting when we can see you in person. So thank you for coming to this orientation. And again, I'll stick around, and I think Kay can stick around for a little while if you have any questions.